Okay, so it's funny how things are on the same wavelength all the time, and I happen to get something about Jamaica, and so I made a video kind of about the mud flood history stuff about Jamaica,
Yeah.
and I ended up, because it's Jamaica Mon, I was doing the Jamaican accent.
That was pretty good. I saw that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Thanks. And then I went over to, because the Pirates, that's a big pirate town,
Yeah.
So then I went into the pirate accent stuff, and then you did a video with the Ted Cruz, and he grows out the pirate beard
and
for the
everything.
role. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
It's such theater.
And he's reading his script. You can tell he's just reading it. He's like, I don't have any clue what I'm talking about, but I'm going to read this. And he did a pretty good job. I mean, I guess they pick really good actors to go into politics and stuff, but he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, it's funny how that is. He's one of the least convincing people. I saw him in a montage of least convincing for people who are awake,
Yeah.
But he had me fooled at the time when he was let's see, was he was in the Republican nomination battle for Trump's spot, I guess it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is when he hit, but he's in Texas. Anyway, he's doing these it's another topic. News events of questionable nature. You know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in one of my videos from further back when they were saying, how all this stuff keeps happening in Texas. And I checked up on it, and they were enacting a law, and it's just like, oh man, he is totally in on all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's funny. There was Ice Pirates, or there was a number of different movies about like pirates in space, and like where did they get that from?
Yeah, they're selling T-shirts now. Someone I saw on Facebook, they have a Space Force T-shirt, and it's like an astronaut punching ET in the face. And I was like, "That you've got to be kidding me!" They're putting these shirts out. It's bad enough that everywhere I look, and especially when you work around youth, they're all wearing NASA gear, and NASA's putting out this gear. They're really targeting the youth, and I'm noticing that they talk to elementary schools on a daily basis, and it's the exact same questions. It's scripted, and the astronauts, and they don't even have to do it live. They say they're live, but the astronauts already know the questions. It's very well timed out. Whoever's doing the video stuff at NASA will put the question up on the screen, so it's not like these kids are randomly making up questions, and it's the same questions. If you've watched a bunch of them, it's like, what's it like to sleep in space?
How do you brush your teeth?
Yeah. They ask these simple questions, and it's the same ones. How do you work out? And they answer them all the time. But I was talking to my dad about the space pirates, because I showed him the video, and he was cracking up about it. And he said they're spending all this money to go back to the moon, and they've lost all this technology. But if there's these random pirate villain people that can build things to get up there and destroy our stuff, why don't we find out what technology they're using and just use
actually go up there?
Yeah, and go around shooting, popping the balloon satellites and all the stuff they're going to do to us. Why don't we just use their technology? I was like, that's genius. We should find out, let's build another pirate spaceship and go kill some people. Let's take down the ISS, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Well, I just saw a movie on Netflix. I couldn't watch the whole thing, but it's absolutely everything that you're talking about. And you know how they time these things simultaneously with the overall grand plan script thing. So it's called Rim of the Earth.
Mm.
And it's about these kids, okay? Again, kids, NASA, elementary schools. These laws that say somebody has to stay, 50 feet or 150 feet from every elementary school. I think it should apply to any astronauts. And, whether it's digital or not, they should be banned.
Yeah.
But because you ever notice how many astronauts write children's books as well? It's kind of.
Oh, yeah. That is. It's no
weird thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so this movie covers so many things I couldn't stomach it to watch too far, but just in the first like 20 or 30 minutes, it starts off in these aliens come out of nowhere in fake space, and the ISS immediately happens to kind of almost semi collide with it,
Yeah.
which right there, I was thinking about the moon landings one time, and how the rendezvous of
Hmm.
the just that rendezvous is like that amount of space would be like taking someone's backyard and putting it out somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. And then you have to take the Pacific Ocean and turn it perpendicular and add the three-dimensional space, and then make it go 17,000 miles an hour or whatever the heck, and try to match up with that. Good luck on a
Yeah.
limited amount of fuel. But anyway, they just happen. And, well, it's the kids. Now, the things I noticed watching it, the kids going into this so-called camp called Rim of the Earth Camp had all these little signs and all these little things that tell you that they're like trafficked kids, or like something's not right
Hmm.
about these kids. They're scared of adults, like
Yeah.
like kids can be shy, but these kids are terrified of strange adults. And then the adults make these jokes that are very crass and like abusive in a way. It's like a domineering thing. All of these levels. Of course, guess who makes it? It's I think it's called WonderWorks Studios,
Wow.
and you know about them, right? Like they make the videos for NASA. Because you hear about how NASA has studios that I don't know if it's part of NASA. I think it's a separate company, but it's as big as like Warner Brothers and several other studios combined.
Wow.
All the stuff they have. It's like, what are they even producing to have that level of? Now they do make
Hmm.
some movies, and that this is one of them. Space Camp, I think, was another one.
Yeah.
That they make. So this is kind of similar to Space Camp. And anyway, they have like the false flag thing, and the kid says, "Oh no, it's another 7-Eleven,"
Oh.
because all their phones go off. There are sonic booms above their heads in the atmosphere, not space. And
Yeah.
then there's all the power goes out, and their phones ring, and it's the president or whatever type thing, telling them to go to the FEMA camps or whatever, report to the FEMA camp immediately. And then uh, then the sky, the weird thing is that really struck me is then they had the sky turn yellow, and it's what it from like the biblical history and biblical prophecy to a lesser extent. It talks
Yeah.
about the sun going out and all this kind of stuff.
Hmm.
As much as they are really ramping up activity on that, I tell you, it's like there's something
Yeah.
uh, in the works. We'll put it that way. Like, I don't know too much, but I can tell that they're um, working towards something here.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you keep thinking, oh no, maybe this is just some sort of conspiracy rabbit hole. Surely they're not going to fake something and control Earth from space and do all the things that we thought they're going to do, and we've pretty much tried to warn people they're going to do. But it starts adding up every time a movie comes out, every time you see something, and it fits that agenda, especially like the Ted Cruz Pirates in Space thing with no evidence. It would be nice if they would say, well, the reason we're concerned is their radars picked up this, or some of our satellites have just exploded and we don't know why, or something. But
Mhm.
there's never any explanation anymore. It's just like, we'll just say this, and this will be enough to get us to actually have a space force or a pretend space force. But I still think they can get weapons high enough that we just can't see them really well, and they can do things kind of like with California and those fires and
Mhm.
directed energy, or some sort of something to give us fear, just like they did back when Bush was president to start
Mhm.
wars, like something to control us. I think it'll be worse than the nuclear threat. Whatever it is, will be something that people are legitimately terrified about. And I mean, it could come at the price of human lives. You never know. But
Yeah. Yeah,
definitely a fear.
one thing I've learned about how they do it, they don't leave things to chance.
Mhm.
And so, like, let's say the plan, whatever it is for a building, whatever that may be, to go down. They are not going to have one mechanism of going down only. They're
Mhm.
going to cut the beams. They're going to disintegrate with micro. They're going to have all kinds of different things ready, demo, C-Forge, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's all, and if any one or two fails, it's still going down. So I
Mhm.
think it'll be something like that where they're ramping up with like these Ebola scares, which I feel is dubious.
Yeah, that just
Um,
vanished out of nowhere. Like that was back when
yeah.
I actually watched the news a little bit, and I
Hmm.
know I was onto the fact that it was fake news. I was watching some of the crisis actors. There was Ebola crisis actors, and that was funny to me because
Hmm.
you would see these people like it was like a little kid laying there in the street not moving, and then the camera you would see the extended footage that wasn't shown on the news, and the kid would just get up, run away, and then you'd
Hmm.
see them handing people money, people like talking about their kid dying, and then you'd see them hand them like a stack of money, and the person would just leave like, I did my part, here's my money, and they just walk away. It's kind of weird. I was like, man, is it all a hoax? And I think a lot of it's related to kind of like Zika, how they're I guarantee there was birth defects, but it was from like Monsanto leaking poisons into the water, and now we got to have a cover story. Oh, it's Zika.
Mm,
And so
yeah.
everybody's terrified. My wife was terrified. She was pregnant around that time and wouldn't go anywhere outdoors without, spraying herself down. And
Think of how many
everybody was in fear.
abortions that caused just out of the belief,
Yeah, people are like, oh
if
no,
someone's on the fence,
I got
they
bit by a
believe it.
mosquito. Now I'm gonna have to go have it. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. And well, I mean, in my own birth, they used the age of my mother to try to convince her to not have me. They
Yeah.
made it sound like I was going to be so unintelligent,
Yeah.
that oh, you might as well not bother, and blah blah blah.
Yeah. They tried doing that
Uh,
with our son too, and I was like, nope, we're doing it. We're having him. They
yeah.
give you all sorts of fear, like, well, he's probably going to be this or that, and they measured him wrong, and they're like, he's probably going to be a dwarf, and it was just because they measured the wrong bone and thought that was his leg, and they totally butchered it, and they're like, yeah, he's
Wow.
probably gonna have spina bifida and all this stuff, and got my wife in fear, and I was like, don't have any fear. These people are not God.
Hmm.
They're just saying this stuff. They're
Yeah.
perfectly healthy.
Yeah, and they're telling her, well, she's pregnant, and so they're trying to influence, like,
Mm.
you know, it it's still, but yeah. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, well, I can tell you, with schools, I don't know about your school, but I've heard things about schools, that there are some rumblings, where it's like 2 years ago, nobody said much of anything about anything of the sort.
Yeah.
At least, in the districts around here.
Mm-hmm.
But just between maybe 3 years ago and then maybe 2 years ago, it was mentioned, but only as ridicule or a joke, whatever. And then in this past year, especially in the past maybe 6 months or so, it really ramped up where like kids will just shout out fake news or whatever during history class or whatever. It just happens, and they're getting wise to it. But I don't know. I mean, if it's got momentum and everything like that, and
it definitely has. I had a kid in one of my classes start saying the Earth was flat, and I know I'm not allowed to talk about this at work. They already know that I believe it's a geocentric model, and that's shunned. Not a lot of people know that. Maybe like one of my coworkers, but these students, they were like picking on this one guy who's like, the Earth is flat, and they were like, "You're so dumb. The Earth. Haven't you ever seen?" Like their proofs were cracking me up. "Haven't you seen a globe? Haven't you even just looked at a globe? That's how you know that it's round." And they were like, "You idiot!" And he's like, and he's just kind of laughing about it. And then I would start saying some things, and it's so hard for me not to just take over. But I'd say some things, and they'd look at me and be like, "That's weird. I never thought about that." And I'm like, "Yeah, think about it. Just think about it." And like, we've got to have a debate. But teaching these kids, I wanted to have one so bad. I never got around to it. But I just know that I would help the guy out that's on the flat Earth side. I would give him like some presentations, but use this. You'll never lose.
Yeah.
But I was like, it would probably cause such a fast awakening that I would get in trouble. And it's like, I know how those things work and how the powers of darkness work. They want to see you do something like that. And it would kind of parents, because we had a couple of our athletes that we coach asking questions, and we don't force anything on anybody. We're just like, well, this is what we believe and this is why. And we had a couple of them start looking into it before censorship, before they started censoring everything, and you actually could just be a random person looking into it and find answers. And so we had a couple of them wake up, and the parents were like, "What's going on?" I was like, "What? I didn't do anything. They're just finding things out on their own." It's like, it's kind of scary. People freak out when somebody starts waking.
They're wise to it, because of course YouTube does these things like, and I told you this. This is a piece from the Phantom Hour. Okay, I said that I had only discovered your channel a couple months ago.
That's crazy to me. Yeah, that's
all the searches I did over the years related to flat Earth.
Yeah, and we put out the same stuff.
yeah, and it's like, shouldn't it be like, okay, recommended if you like this, you'll like that, but they don't do that. They say recommended if you like this, you'll like Bill Nye's, sex spectrum episode or whatever, and it's like, no, I don't think I will. But so when I saw something or somebody said something in comments or that type of thing is how, and so then I did a search, and like when I searched up, I typed in the exact channel name that you have. Like, I guess maybe if yours is all caps, maybe it's not all caps, but that shouldn't matter. And I had to scroll and scroll until it came up. But once that happened, then when I did it again, then it came up.
Yeah.
So it gets you wondering, like, did I mistype it or something? Well, it's not like I don't know how to spell those words. I don't think I did. But anyway, it happens with other channels. I remember Jay Tolan Media. I remember Tell Me What You Love channel is one of the great ones that I liked early on. And I think, I'm not sure, I can't remember. I'd have to go back and find the comment, but I think he liked some of the videos that I did, and so he was whoever inspired, and so we've been encouraging each other, and and he's getting more subs finally because he has a great channel.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I
for
search
real.
it up, I can't find it. Doesn't
No.
come up.
Mhm.
Like I put in the exact title of his video, it doesn't come up. So
That's the frustrating thing. It's so challenging to look up anything related to this and find the old videos if you don't save them somehow, because they literally have a stack of these predetermined videos that are the same ones. I can type in how the sun works on a flat earth, same 100 videos. How anything like long distance photo flat earth or any type of high altitude, everything's the same 150,000 videos of that we've all seen and looked through, and it's the ones that they want to promote. But yeah, and the recommended videos, they're ridiculous.
They have the one
now,
from National Geographic. They have one
Yeah.
from was it CBS This Morning? They, the ones that they put out all scripted.
Yeah.
So it gets. I can't tell you how many times I've clicked the thing not interested, if that even shows up. You know, like I bet you it always shows up on your videos. I bet you it always shows up on my videos. But then certain times, like a Logan Paul video, maybe you can't say that you're not interested.
Yeah, that's crazy to me that he has like the same video editors as the other channels that are like like I don't know, just like it's crazy that these people putting out that stuff have the same video makers. I'm trying to figure out who it was, Logan Paul and someone else. I'm sure they all do, the people they want to put out there. It's incredibly sad how desperate they are. I was looking through Netflix trying to find something to show my kids. We're running out of time, we're running out of things to do. Everybody's taking their finals and schedules are crazy. And I looked down at the recommended or the trending, and it was Round Earth. That was literally one of the titles. Round Earth, Planet Earth, Frozen Planet, Blue Planet, and they're all in a row. Like, how are all these videos with the title Planet and Round Earth and Mars exploration type videos, how are these all just trending now at random? It's like it reminds me of this video I watched the other night of this lady. She was explaining how Hitler took over and got everybody to how everybody just went along with things. From our point of view, we're like, how did these people become these evil robots that just didn't, care that people were getting shipped over here, whatever was happening? And she was saying it wasn't like people think. He didn't come in with an army tank and take over. They gave us free radios. Everybody got free radios. And it started reminding me of like how we are now with Netflix and all these different cheap things. It's cheaper to get Netflix than cable, so everybody goes to Netflix. And movie stores go away. When you were at the movie store, there was never a person going, hey, pick this movie. You could go to a movie store and get lost and go around the different sections, and there was never that battle. They couldn't funnel us where they wanted us to. I mean, they could put up a bigger poster, but it wasn't like Netflix and stuff now where they can take out videos that they don't want you to see, and they can put in video only the ones they want you to see. So it's getting more streamlined, but those people had free radios. They were only allowed to listen to their local stations. They were not allowed to listen to what was going on outside of their district or their country or anything. So they only had the views of these specific people. You could be punished pretty bad for listening to the wrong radio station. I thought that was crazy. And then they divided everything equally. So like if you're rich and somebody's poor, you get 70% tax or whatever. That's a lot of tax, 70%. And so that gives everyone at the bottom of the pyramid free housing. It just kind of levels it out to where you just have one giant bottom of the pyramid and then everybody at top. So it's like people were so easy to control once you control their media. They didn't have TV or internet. So you're stuck to just what you hear. And that's kind of how we're getting now. We're stuck to just what they recommend. So whatever they recommend, we see it. And that's becoming a reality, but it's just frustrating because people can't do legitimate research now, and I think it's really bothering a lot of people, and they're demonetizing and deleting channels like crazy. Secure Team, which is funny because they look into alien stuff, which is something that they want us to look into. I don't know I think he might have been putting out some stuff that was in support of flat Earth or something, and I don't know what it was, but they demonetized him. But he has like 2 million subscribers, and so luckily his people went onto Twitter and did all this stuff, and they got it back on, which that may be part of their act too, to make it look like, oh, we're hiding alien stuff. It's real. Look into it. That might be part of their act too. You never know. But they're doing that in a lot of channels.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I think kids know that when you type in something you're looking for, they know when the search engine, because it's AI, but artificial intelligence to me is so far from being scary.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of like a bumbling buffoon. It's not scary to me yet. I've had these AI things, voice activated things before, and they were kind of useless, like waste of time. Like I can type faster than I can deal with the AI.
Yeah.
So I just go that route. And kids know, they type in what they're looking for, and when it shows you the opposite, they're like, "What the heck?"
Yeah.
They know, and they scroll and they scroll and they scroll and they scroll, and the more they scroll, the more they know that they're getting closer to something true. In this case, I think that's almost the majority.
Yeah.
Or maybe only a third, and then a third might be on the fence, but it's shifting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. I think, there's a chance of avoiding a lot of silliness. I think a lot of people are not so afraid to speak out. I've been hearing it in places, and it's great.
Yeah, it's about time to take to the streets. I know when I go on my trip, I can't wait to go like travel, and I'm gonna wear my shirt and maybe sit next to somebody on a plane who's like, why does your shirt say Earth is stationary and curve is imaginary? What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
What is this nonsense? And then you just start talking to them, and I don't do that to close. I know that it would just cause so much conflict if I did that to all my friends. So I wait until I find somebody who's asking or has trust issues or asks a question like, man, I think the government might be lying. I think we faked the moon landings, or it just so many people aren't ready for it. It's almost spiritual. It's not even something you can break into somebody because it's so deep of a topic.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is so hidden. It's well hidden. It's not that they just I don't know. It's weird. The way they hide it is to put out their version of the truth in your face all the time instead of just up front hiding it. It's like, who's going to look at the stars and realize we're not flying around the sun? Nobody. We're just going to tell them we're flying around the sun and then show them some pictures of the stars, some computer animations of all the stuff, and they're going to buy that. They're going to buy into that. And there's always a couple of really solid proofs that seem to make it fit reality, and those keep a lot of people tied to it. But you just got to keep trying to figure out answers as to why. Because I remember looking at the lunar eclipse when it was, or the lunar eclipse this winter, and just going, this is so beautiful and spectacular. What's causing this? This is a question that I have. Like, I know that's not the curve of the Earth, and a part of me wonders, like, the moon and the sun and how they are within the firmament. I've had all these different things going on, but somebody posted a comment, and it really made me think about this, as if they're actually inside the firmament, and the lower part of the firmament, because I've seen it when you look at the lightning strike video, where that wave moves across it. There's a fluid property. I don't know if it's some sort of really powerful, like, energy barrier, gas, water below, if it's actually water below it. It looks exactly like water. It looks like you're shooting a firework or a bullet out of the water is what a sprite looks like, but they're around 70 miles. And I thought about it. The shadow is too big to be the Earth, given the globe model scale, because the moon shadow on the Earth during a solar eclipse is like this tiny little path compared to the moon size. But our shadow, if you put a circular globe to match up and fit it, it's like many times larger than the moon. So that already doesn't add up. But somebody said, what if it's the firmament, like part of the firmament, and the sun dips down below it, and so you're just seeing the curve of the firmament going there? And I'm like, that's actually an interesting theory, that it could be part of the firmament actually causing that. Because if it's shining through water and the moisture in the air is what makes clouds turn pink and red at sunset. You have that large amount of moisture that it's having to travel through. If you bring a blue object down into the ocean, it turns pink. It literally turns like a bright neon pink. And I think that might be the waters below the firmament that it's shining through, causing it to turn that red color, because our atmosphere from that distance would be as thin as a layer of paint on the outside of a foot basketball. It would be hard for it to shine, turn the entire moon red.
Yeah, I've seen those. The wave, like the lunar wave and all that. I'm pretty sure it's the atmosphere because of one video where
Yeah,
a plane went by, but I need more than just the one video because I
yeah.
also think it. What's that?
Sorry, I was going to ask if you'd seen our Firmament video with the lightning sprites and the wave. It's
Yeah.
not one that you're seeing with the. It's not like a lunar wave in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of is, but you can actually see something shoot out of it, and it takes like a dome shape when something's coming out of it, so it like explodes outward.
Mm-hmm. So it's not going all directions.
It's like a giant. It's really cool because when I read the Book of Enoch, I was reading that about the time. They said how he saw that some stars rise up and become lightning, but don't lose their form. In other words, it's like they rise up almost like they're striking something, but they don't lose their form. They stay where they're at. But these sprites shoot out. They're above the clouds, so we don't usually see them. When there's a storm, we're looking up at the clouds. We're not above the clouds. But these people took a plane above the clouds and had these high-speed cameras to where they could capture these things and put them in slow motion because they happen like lightning. They're really fast. And so you would see one and not know it. But they slow this footage down, and when you adjust the brightness, you can see a wave. And even if you don't adjust it, you can see a wave go across it, like it's almost like a wave on the ocean. And then you just see this stuff, these sprites just come out and my dad goes, "This isn't the sky. You're showing me fireworks coming out of the water." I'm like, "No, this is literally taken above the clouds at about 70 miles. That's how high they tell us this footage was. It could be higher. I don't know how they measured that height, but I thought it was so cool to see at that height. Exactly where that rocket stopped is where
Mm-hmm.
these things come out at. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not very high. It's not like
Yeah.
some people say, oh, it's 3,000 miles. I have no clue,
No.
but the part of it that those things are shooting out of is around 70 miles.
Yeah. Well,
So,
they say 70 or 72 miles. Um, I I think it might be like between like 70 kilometers.
yeah.
Because I did quite a bit of looking into the Kármán line,
Mm-hmm.
with the supposed edge of space, because I started to realize, like, right around the time when Werner von Braun started like intimating that there might be a firmament,
Yeah.
and they started to backtrack on whether or not they could make a moon rocket, and they invented the Van Allen radiation belts, which don't exist in my opinion because
Yeah.
they're way above anything real. But anyway, the Kármán line pops up as this thing. It's like it's what they reflect radio signals from, and all these different things. Like, what?
Yeah.
If you do radar, it kind of reflects off the same distance. It's like 60 to 80 kilometers. So I thought, well, if 60 to 80 kilometers is the edge of the atmosphere, maybe that's where some kind of a barrier is. And then when those rockets go up, they say like 70 miles. But if you compare the footage side by side with a high altitude balloon, the highest of any of the high altitude balloons I saw it said 128,000 feet. It was probably a little bit less than that. So it's right around at like 100,000 to 120,000 feet, which is right in there in that 680 kilometers, I think. So
Yeah.
it all these different things came together. And then when they sent up the rockets and it seems like it's hitting water.
Mm-hmm.
I really, I went over that, and I actually like reached out to the people who sent the rocket up because I really needed to know some things. And the non-response that I got kind of told me the answer, and that was that when it seems like it hit something, I think they had another stage that was going to go, and it didn't go. It had already hit something and then separated.
Yeah.
They didn't release like this bolo thing to slow it down, and if they did, it wouldn't have slowed down the spin rate the way it did.
Yeah.
And then the guy on the original video, which is almost scrubbed, it's hard to find, but in the original video, he says he has no idea what this object is coming off the rocket. He said it could be a UFO for all I know.
Wow.
And I think what it was the tip of the rocket.
Mm-hmm.
it got smashed off and kind of suspended for a little bit before it fell. So it's like there's a layer of distilled water or something like that. It's so clear that
Crystal clear.
you just can't even see anything when it goes in, and it may have like a gas, like almost solidified gas, and at these extremely cold temperatures, it's possible.
Yeah.
So I don't know chemistry well enough. That's the element I'm missing. That's the knowledge I'm missing to be able to put it all together. But absolutely, that would make waves.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that a lot with these rocket launches when they, I think, maybe accidentally smack into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could I share my screen with you real quick? Is that possible?
Sure. Yeah.
I
think it'll.
Been in a while. See it now? All right. You seeing it?
Not yet. There might be a delay or something.
Maybe something else I have to push. Oh, start sharing. There you go. That might help.
Mm-hmm.
All right. See it?
Yeah, I do now.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you'd seen this video. This was the sprites I was telling you about. But you'll see a wave move from the top. See that wave go across? Mm-hmm. And then you see these things shooting out. They're called sprites. And the word sprite, I think, means like disembodied spirit. I don't know why they chose that name for it. But they shoot out. It looks like fireworks to me. But you can see that there's a material right here. It's not shining onto clouds. People keep saying, that's clouds. Well, clouds are nowhere near the height that these things are seen. There's another wave that kind of went by. But they're gorgeous. You can see the waves. The wave's very faint. And I had to adjust the brightness so you can see it. But it reminds me of those lunar waves. But these things are powerful and fast. And when you look at them, you can see a star light up occasionally. See the dome-like structure to that when it's coming out? You'll see a star light up when these things happen. The stars will just randomly light up. And there, to me, was the best picture of the firmament they got. Because it is lighting up something. There's some barrier right here that they're lighting up. I mean, it was just like, wow. I almost like fainted when I saw that. I was like, this is the firmament. And that's when I put together a video, I put it out, and it got like, within a week, it was over 300-something thousand views. And people were like, this is making me cry. This is so cool. I'm seeing this. I've never would have believed it unless I saw it. And
boy, they did a good job suppressing that. Because I don't know if I saw that. Did you make another similar one?
I had to make one similar because they banned it. It was. I was like, this is going to have 500,000 views tomorrow when I wake up. Like, this is crazy. And I was getting so many emotional responses. I was like, thank you, Father. This is awesome. And they said, this is my brother sent me a text and said, this has been banned in the United States. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it's banned in the United States. Like, you've got to be kidding me. I couldn't believe it. But I started looking into these things, and I have to put together another video because people were asking so many questions. But you can just see these things. You see where the stars are, and it looks like they're coming directly from the stars. Like they just every time I saw a picture of one, that's exactly what they look like. But where was the other one? But then that rocket, when you say like it looks like they're hitting some sort of barrier. When they hit it, you just see like those ripples, like. Shoot out like perfect ripples around. Like,
and then it as strange as it sounds, it looks like with the SpaceX launches, especially.
Yeah.
It looks like a boat. Like a boat is upside down, going, and it's throwing out race. Wake. Yeah, and in that one launch where they had like the 9, Falcon 9.
Yeah.
But the little fake rockets that barely have any thrust on the end of it. Fell away one at a time. I don't know if they meant for that, probably not, but they came off and they're like tanks of compressed air. If you knock the nozzle off, like these longshoremen or these riggers or whatever out, like on the oil rigs and such, like they'll for entertainment take one of these big air tanks and knock the end off, and it goes off like a torpedo, or it may just spin on the top of the water, and that's what it looked like, except in reverse. And there are a lot of people that think if you get high enough that there may be some kind of anomaly or some kind of structure to the gravitational field where it takes over, starts going, up instead of down, or at least suspended. And But I'm not so sure about that. I think if there's like a layer of like it could be distilled water. I don't know. But in the video you just showed,
Mm-hmm.
let me see that again, because it seemed like
Yeah.
if it was distilled water that somehow got crystallized and then fell away, that kind of would look like that.
Let's see.
I don't know enough about like
It just
these,
seems like, to
like
me,
the
you
inert
can't see it.
gases.
It's kind of like your reflection in the window. Like if you're on one side of the window and there's light like inside your house, you can see the reflection. But if you turn the light off, you can't. I don't know. To me, there's just something so miraculous about the firmament that I really, like you said, I just can't quite grasp it. It's so much more intelligently designed than here it is, I think, than we can fathom. And especially lightning sprites is the only time that I've ever been able to see it. I would love, like, as far as exploration, is to just go as high as I possibly can with all sorts of different equipment, lasers, zoom cameras, to see if you can just zoom in, bounce something off of it, like be able to see it.
Yeah.
The original, back in the day, the Air Force, when they were sending people up, they would get pretty high, but about as high as the balloons we send up nowadays. And you never hear their description of Earth, even though they were the first people to go that high. You never hear anything about it.
Yeah, there's one where they said it looks orange, but that might just be might be some other purpose to that. But it's interesting in this picture here. See how it's kind of like a deep red color for some reason? That's what I saw in one of my first videos, which, just like you said, it rocketed up in views, like it was on its way to 1 million in a short time. And then they put the brakes on it, and I think it's grown, it's getting close to that purely through organic sharing and that type of thing.
Yeah. You got a lot of good subscribers. That helps, because that's I was completely dependent on that. I'm not good at marketing it. I had some people that are like, man, I'm going around to every website I can sharing this stuff. And
I have
a lot of truth
best
warriors
subscribers
out there
in the world. I mean, they're awesome. I'm sure a lot of them are also yours, and yours are probably the same way, because they're just dynamite about everything. They support you. They tell you when their likes go away and things like that happen. And I thought, is that really that way, or is it just the settings on their device? And then I hear you saying, like, you hear the same thing and other people, and it kind of confirms it all.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. It's weird. You wonder the powers that be, like, watch our videos and monitor what they do based on what we put out, and they actually do, because I saw when Rob Skiba did the video about the moon, they doctored that original photo. There was another one about the moon, or the Earth from the moon with the square around it, and they go into those photos and they fix them a little bit. You can still see where they've done their erasing. It almost looks like they used Microsoft Paint to erase the square. But they do these things after we put out video. So somebody somewhere is watching what we do, because I put out a video about a SpaceX launch, and there was a glitch, and something appeared on the landing platform where they landed. An object randomly appeared, and this object that appeared had its own shadow. So it wasn't like, oh, it was a computer glitch. Like, this little object had a shadow, and I did a video about it and just thought, oh, this is funny. Well, somebody commented not long after that and goes, they deleted the original video. I was like, no way. I went to look. Yeah, they took the entire video down. Like, why would you take down a video of a launch? Like, unless you're trying to hide something. Similar to how SpaceX did their first video, or the what was that video where they sent the car to space that didn't even have like batteries that would last, and they were playing music in a vacuum, like all the nonsense that went along with that. And they changed their live feed. So I just wanted to send a car to space so people could relate to it. I'm like, so you're spending billions to do something, and just so people could relate to it? Like, I don't understand his motivation. It's not like he actually wants to go there. Like, who just has that motivation? Like, I just want to send stuff up there.
It's just a big joke on everybody, and they plan these things so far in advance, because like the red car in space has been a thing for a while, since like before, like the early 80s or before.
Yeah.
There are examples, um, and well, I guess the song Starman is kind of about that, and that's probably 60s or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is really cool. Have you seen the videos about there's lightning strikes from the ground? People can see the stars appear during the day, only during the lightning strike. You ever
No,
seen
that's
that?
cool. See, yeah, that's
Yeah, I saw that and I could not find it. It only
yeah.
had a few hundred views.
Hmm.
And I think it was Astronaut, or if it wasn't him, it was somebody with a German accent, talking kind of like him. And
Yeah.
uh, and it might not have been him, but it was just, yeah, I think it was a photographer who isn't into all the, you know, space is fake maybe or anything. It was just
Yeah.
that he was photographing lightning and he noticed that in the daytime during the lightning strike, when the stars should be least visible, they lit up during the lightning strike.
Yeah.
And he had
Mm,
a whole bunch because he had, really
that's cool.
fast, like where it goes, with the photos.
Yeah.
So he had a whole bunch of them because it was like a whole bunch of lightning. And you had to have a certain camera with a certain zoom.
That would be
Um,
cool to see because that matches up with a lot of what I was seeing looking at these sprite photos when I was watching people take video. The
mhm,
stars would brighten, their intensities would brighten right before the lightning strikes would happen. So I think
mhm,
that's interesting. There's something to do with the stars, and that would have just sounded so fairy tale hocus pocus when if I'd have heard it,
mhm,
5 years ago. But like when you actually see it, it's like, man, the stars do have something to do with this. They're not what we've been told. We know they're not suns. I mean, there's a firmament there, so there's something going on, and it's really quite spectacular. And they say that these things are associated with like the most powerful lightning they have. The ones that'll blow a tree up. you know,
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah. There's some. You mean if it goes from the firmament all the way to the ground? That's
yeah, like
the
they're
super powerful.
powerful. And a guy
Hmm.
sent me this guy. He sent early on when I first put that out. Goes, man. He goes, I don't want to show you what I've seen. He said, I don't want to creep you out, but he said, I see faces and everything. He's kind of an interesting person. And I say, he said, he goes, I want to show you what I saw. And he sent me a screenshot from my video of these sprites. And it looked like these creatures, like their faces. He outlined them. And when he did, and I saw it, I was like, you're right, man. That's kind of creepy that you just showed me that. And I was like, it looked like these creepy horned like beings. Like, I was like, that's freaky. He's like,
Mm,
yeah. He's like, I don't want to scare you, man. He's like, but I can't unsee it. And he said, I just saw that and wanted to share it. Like, wow. And then somebody else said the same thing later on. I think it was, who was it? Like Richie from Boston or somebody saw it. I was like, I saw some
yeah,
faces and somebody that pretty big YouTuber. I was like, I know, I
yeah.
think it was Vince Rose or something.
I've seen these things, and I tend, I see it once they point it out. I always see it, and sometimes I can see it without. Um, and I don't cover it really because it's just like it's too easy for someone to say, well, that's
Yeah,
pareidolia or whatever that is, but um, I I take note of it because there's this thread as well about what is up there, with the historical side of it, with all these seemingly like celestial events that were somehow predictable and thought to be spiritual in nature. They also seem to involve some kind of mechanism or technology that shows itself throughout the
yeah,
annals of history in every culture across the world. So there's probably something to it. And one of the recurring themes seems to be like not like a UFO floating disc type thing, but something
yeah,
much more massive that they call
hmm
the sky carousel, which I always thought was just the fact that the firmament seems to be turning, you
yeah,
know, that was the so-called like the sky carousel, but it's not exactly that. And yeah, it gets into this whole subject of like tethers and different things. And there is some evidence of like what are they really doing up there? If they do
yeah,
go up there at all, like what are they really up to? And
I don't
And
think we could see them doing stuff up there, because during the day, our atmosphere cloaks everything, and
mhm,
they've been sending stuff up. Like I saw one of your videos, you were showing like these really giant balloons and blimps and
mhm.
things that they had, and they could put those up there, and if they have a good solid container that will not leak anything, they can go really, really high and stay up there until
For
they
weeks.
break down. Yeah, until they break down, or who knows. And they have continuous flight devices that can
Mhm.
fly, circumnavigate the Earth, and just going around circles above this Earth, and they don't ever run out of power. So I guess it's up until they
Right.
eventually break down, but they have all that stuff
Yeah.
they can do. It's quite
They even
impressive.
have self-repairing robots that repair like any leaks that are like they call them spiders. They just go around on the skin
Yeah,
and they actually show it, and it's not CGI.
yeah,
And there are like hydrogen, like they take moisture out of the air, and but it gets really wild. Like there's a guy, Chris Archer. He had the channel. 20 some thousand subscribers, and I was one of them. I was watching his stuff, and then boom, he's gone one Saturday.
wow,
Um, and was not the first time it happened to him, and it was not the last. And so I took careful note of what he was talking about. And as crazy
yeah,
as it sounded, it was about that type of thing. And he
hmm
said they have these, basically they're called airships. That's what they call them. And
yeah,
they're up there, and they cloak around with kind of a they call it's uh, aerogel. It looks like clouds, and it could be some other substance. I don't know, but that they've had that for a while. And when you see
wow,
meteors, what people think are meteors,
uh-huh,
a lot of times it comes out of those things. And if you go back and you look at meteor videos, you'll see the meteor originates out of a cloud almost every time.
yep,
And it goes down at an angle and it burns out going down at an arcing angle, by the way. So
yeah,
it's not that crazy velocity. And
hmm
um,
and we would be moving
sometimes the
so fast
meteors
too.
impact, and sometimes after they impact, someone finds the thing, and it's one of those balls, those
Yeah,
mystery
spherical.
space
Yeah,
balls.
yep, that's what they are. It's like a big fireworks shell, almost like just
Yeah,
metal
and
solid ball. They land everywhere.
yeah, so they've started. I think they intend for it to burn out sometimes, but other times, they start fires and things like that. And I have more stories about it, but uh, I have to save it.
Yeah,
But
I think that's definitely a hidden technology aspect that is what I thought about when I was way before I woke up to any of this. Was somebody said that it was like a deathbed confession type of thing, and I always find those interesting. And he said his dad was saying that you know that NASA has got the technology they put out there is where they want you to believe the pinnacle is, but it goes far beyond that. Like what we're seeing with NASA, these giant rockets going up, and we're all ooh ah. He said that's nothing compared to the stuff that his dad worked on. It was more
hmm,
closely related to science fiction, Star Trek type of technology, but they're the organization that not only just faked space, because I knew we faked the moon landings, but it was like they're a front so that we think that's all that we have. But they've got this wisdom from the fallen that the world's been using to manipulate everybody for
hmm,
centuries. But it's like they've definitely got technology that we're not aware of.
hmm,
That's why they can fake things better than we can imagine.
yeah, yeah. And this guy, I think he has another channel now, and I'll link it in this video. But he talks about this system and how they can drop it down lower, and it has little like I don't know if you call them like dinghies. Like if it's the mothership, it has like little
Mm-hmm.
little things that come out of it. And um, anyway, it would explain a lot of the things I've seen, which I cannot explain, like
Yeah.
these weird looking airplanes that come out and spray the chemtrails, and then that's when
Mm-hmm.
they want it there, and then Crow 777.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people don't. They think, oh well, he's well, whatever. He showed videos of these little white little things flying around that were kind of zapping the chemtrail thing and then making it go away.
Wow.
So it's kind of like, well, if they want it to be open because they don't need it there or whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's like, can't explain it, but the evidence is there where you go out like I did and looked myself because I have a P1000. And I'm telling you, when I zoom I do full zoom. So I'm in the clouds for focus, where I zoom to the focus level. And so I'm focused in on the clouds. And then there are these white things that are floating and fluttering by, and they're not blurry. They're round, and they change direction. And I just can't imagine like that's like a dandelion seed or whatever, it's can't, and a lot of times I see these videos, I know, well, I can identify what it is. Like, oh, well, that's a white, grocery bag, Walmart bag or something that's floating. It's just being blown by the wind. That's all it is, because you have the perspective thing going on. But some of the more convincing videos he showed, they were pretty wild, and they got shut down, big time. And one of them was making a meteor, a strike. Another one was like a directed energy weapon where they made a river explode. I mean, it's crazy. Like, it was so much energy at once, it just turned a whole river like to steam instantly. Bam!
I saw that. Like all the trees were flattened around it too. Was that?
Yeah, it was really loud. It's kind of like a lightning strike without the lightning.
Yeah.
And it just blasted mud and everything up, and the water had to like run back in to fill the void.
Wow.
And anyway, you start looking at different aspects, like, well, if it's like you said, fallen angels, technology, and like, okay, that sounds really wild, but then I've listened to a lot of rock music over the years, and one of the things I couldn't explain are songs like "Come Sail Away" and by Styx, and how when they're making it their big time, they sing about going up into a rocket ship or going on the big wheel that goes round and round, and and all this kind of stuff. And I thought they were angels. And then, to my surprise, they climbed aboard their starship and headed for the skies. Like, why would you sing that? Like, what is it? Did you watch a movie? What movie was it? You don't get these answers.
No, they're just like speaking real life stuff, and we're like, oh, it's a good song. They have imaginations. They're like little kids.
Yeah, and it is, because they're privy to these things, and so another very convincing one was when somebody was filming the 24-hour sun, and they were looking off at a great distance because the 24-hour sun was on the other side of the North Pole or the center, whatever it is. And there was, it got blocked out for a period of time, and you could kind of see something, in the sky that had to be absolutely massive to block the sun out that much at that distance. And so, there's a lot of stuff, and like, it's in his library of videos, but then he has to reset his library every once in a while. So it's like, well, so I don't post those videos for that reason, unfortunately, but I really need to get those on my website, and I will do that. So, but I better split now. I gotta, I guess I ran that premiere, but it's getting late, so we should probably.
Okay.
But definitely do it
so
again.
Keep you up so late.
Oh, no problem. I kind of stay up late. That's fine. So we'll do it again, and look forward to it. And maybe in a week or so, or
get my brother on too. I'm trying to. He really wants to. He feels horrible. He was stuck somewhere out of town, but he'll definitely be back, and get both of us on. We could get side by side. He can Skype from where he's at. That'd be pretty cool. Or I could just go to his house, and we could join you from one computer.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, that's cool. All right, well, God bless, and
Yeah, you too, brother.
have a good week, and I'll shoot you a note between now and then.
Okay.
So, okay. All right, cool.
We'll see you.
All right, take care. Good night.